As the sun set on 2021, cities around the world marked the arrival of a brand new year. For many, the event was subdued in order to help curb the spread of the Omicron variant of the COVID-19 virus. In New Zealand, the city of Auckland, which is one of the first to welcome in a new year, marked the occasion with the light show across the harbour bridge. Authorities had cancelled a number of planned firework displays as a precautionary approach to avoid spectators gathering in crowds. Most of the country is now in the orange setting of a traffic light system used to restrict movement as they successfully battle outbreaks of COVID-19. Under the orange level, bars and nightclubs can have unlimited vaccinated guests up and dancing, while mask wearing and scanning in is still required in many places. Politicians across the country say despite one of the world's most measured approaches to tackling the virus, 2022 will come with many challenges. A little while later, across the Tasman Sea, it was time for Sydney in Australia to show the world that despite COVID, the country was ready for the challenges that lie ahead. The spectacle took place against the backdrop of the Sydney Harbour Bridge and the Sydney Opera House. Some fireworks were let off earlier in the evening to give younger children a preview of the show. Crowds were reduced due to the pandemic, and hours before the event, authorities confirmed a record 32,000 new COVID cases. Despite the surge, tourism bosses reiterated that New Year was a time to show the world how resilient the country is.
Sydney does New Year's Eve like no other city on earth, and this year it is a little bit different. This year's celebration is very much a celebration of our community's resilience. There will be less people out and around the city because people are taking personal responsibility for their own health and making those conscious decisions to stay home.
Many Australians put their plans on hold last year, so despite the surge in cases, the general consensus was that the country, as well as the world, must learn to live with the virus, and many travelled to witness firsthand the annual spectacle.
We've travelled from Melbourne and we've come to see the fireworks, so we're really excited. We're looking forward to it. We've been waiting a long time, haven't we? Yeah, after the horrendous lockdowns that we've been having, so we've come to do this, and I think you can't wait, can you?
No. So excited.
We didn't do it last year, did we? Because
No.
we couldn't, because you couldn't travel.
No.
So yeah, it's made a world of difference being able to do it this year, and thank God it's not been cancelled. Yeah, thank God. It's got to a point now where we've just got to live with it, and we've sort of seen it, especially from Melbourne, from the other side where we've not been able to go out, we've been stuck in our homes, the kids have been remote learning, and we can't stay locked up forever.
In China, where 13 million people in the city of Xi'an have been on lockdown for more than a week, events were cancelled in multiple cities. However, the Beijing Olympic Tower was lit up to mark the beginning of the year, which will welcome the Games. During his New Year speech, Chinese President Xi Jinping promised the country would present a grand Winter Olympic Games. President Xi also called for people in Hong Kong and Macau to work together to implement the one country, two systems arrangement. He also reiterated China's demand for peaceful reunification.
冰雪运动中来，这也是
To let more people participate in ice and snow sports is the meaning of the Olympic movement. We will present a grand Olympic Games to the world wholeheartedly. The world looks forward to China, and China is ready. The motherland has always been caring about the prosperity and stability of Hong Kong and Macau. Only by working together and making joint efforts can the one country, two systems arrangement be stable and far-reaching. Achieving peaceful reunification is the common aspiration of compatriots on both sides of the Taiwan Strait. We sincerely hope that all Chinese people will move forward hand in hand and create a better future for the Chinese nation.
Hong Kong celebrated the start of 2022 with a spectacular fireworks display and live orchestra at Victoria Harbour. Fireworks lit up the night sky to applause, accompanied by thundering cellos and violins. Animated screens at the harbour beamed 2022 and Happy New Year in several languages to excited onlookers. The event took place as the territory confirmed the first cases of community transmission of the Omicron variant, tied to an airline crew member who had returned from the United States and lunched at a restaurant shortly afterwards. Fans also gathered to ring in the arrival of the new year at a concert with Hong Kong's popular cantopop band Mirror and a slew of other artists including Jin Lee and Joyce Cheng. Many residents celebrated being able to gather amid the virus pandemic and hoped for a better year ahead.
Because it's a very great opportunity for us to having together in such a big event, especially after the COVID event. Well, it has been a long time that we didn't gather together, so we are very happy to support of course, our idol Ansono as well as his team of the Mira.
Because 21 was not great for seeing the family travel, everything. So yeah, hope everything is going to be better next year.
Yeah, just better me, better Hong Kong, better COVID situation.
Yeah, we hope everyone will be healthy and happy, and we hope the pandemic will be over soon so that we all can open the border and we can travel. Yeah.
Meanwhile, in Taiwan, crowds gathered at the Taipei 101 skyscraper to bring in the new year. They were treated to a stunning display of fireworks emanating from the tower as the clock struck 12, with live music playing in the background. The theme of the show this year was Toward a Better Future, conveying the idea of healing around the globe. In Japan, Tokyo cancelled its official New Year's countdown at the famous Shibuya crossing intersection, but thousands of people still came out to celebrate despite pleas from authorities to avoid large crowds. In the hope of preventing people from gathering around the busy landmark, the city had requested that people refrain from visiting the area and turned off all billboards at 11 p.m. But that wasn't enough to keep the crowds away.
Well, we were all wearing masks and we disinfected our hands, so I think celebrating this way was okay. Well, yes, there is still fear. I think people need to relieve a bit of stress, but yes, it's scary in terms of coronavirus.
In Thailand, a spectacular display of fireworks lit Bangkok's night sky as 2021 drew to an end. This year allowed New Year's Eve parties and fireworks displays to go ahead, albeit with strict coronavirus restrictions in place. They were hoping to slow the spread of the Omicron variant while also softening the blow to the country's battered tourism sector. However, there were some changes. New Year's Eve prayers, which are usually held in Buddhist temples around Thailand, were held online. In North Korea, a light show and fireworks display welcomed in the new year. The event took place as leader Kim Jong-un marked 10 years in power. The spectacle took place against the backdrop of Kim Il-sung Square in Pyongyang. In neighbouring South Korea, the annual New Year's Eve bell ringing ceremony in Seoul was cancelled due to a surge in virus cases. Pakistanis in Karachi celebrated the start of 2022, hoping for an end to the COVID-19 pandemic. A large crowd gathered at Port Grand to watch a display of fireworks and music performances. In the Middle East, large crowds gathered in Dubai and saw in the new year with an impressive fireworks display. Plenty of celebrations took place in the city. Under the tallest building in the world, the Burj Khalifa restaurants were almost full, with people out celebrating New Year's Eve. The government called for strict precautionary measures to try and limit the spread of the virus. The city has enjoyed being the centre stage of innovation in 2021 as it kicked off the delayed Expo 2020 Dubai.
We say to the world Happy New Year and Happy New Year's Eve. I feel so happy, and the weather is so good here in the Emirates. The COVID-19 precautionary measures are good. We are using masks and many other things. It is New Year's Eve, and one should entertain himself.
In Russia, a fireworks display brought in the new year in Moscow. The spectacle took place against the backdrop of the Moscow River and the Grand Kremlin Palace. President Vladimir Putin mourned the dead, praised Russians for their strength in difficult times, and soberly warned that the pandemic isn't retreating yet.
We are all united by the hope for positive changes in the future, but we understand that they can't be separated from the events during the outgoing year. We have faced colossal challenges but have learned to live in those harsh conditions and solve difficult tasks thanks to our solidarity. We have continued to battle the dangerous pandemic that has engulfed all continents and isn't retreating yet. The treacherous disease has claimed tens of thousands of lives. I would like to express words of sincere support to all those who lost their dear ones. Let the love be in every heart and let it inspire us all to achieve fixed goals and to reach the highest peaks for the sake of loved ones and for the sake of our only great motherland. Happy New Year, dear friends. Happy 2022.
In Greece, fireworks and celebrations rang out around Athens as the Greek capital celebrated the start of the new year. A sea of colour filled the sky as a firework display was held over the Acropolis to usher in the start of 2022. Like many global cities, the New Year party was a little more subdued after the Greek government introduced some new restrictions to try and reduce the spread of the coronavirus amid growing numbers. Earlier in the week, the Health Ministry banned music at all commercial venues for New Year celebrations as part of new restrictions. In Germany, a lights display was held at Berlin's Brandenburg Gate. The annual New Year's Eve celebration was cancelled once again and fireworks sales banned due to COVID-19. In his New Year's message, the newly appointed Chancellor, Olaf Scholz, pledged to use Germany's presidency of the group of 7 industrial nations to make the G7 a trailblazer in climate-neutral economic activity.
Deutschland übernimmt ab morgen für ein Jahr die Präsidentschaft.
Starting tomorrow, Germany will for 1 year take over the presidency of the group of 7 economically strong, democratic states, the G7. We will use our presidency so that this group of states becomes a trailblazer for a climate-neutral way of doing business and a fair world. International cooperation is important. In a world with almost 10 billion inhabitants, our voice will only be heard when we join our voice and acquire with many others. Transatlantic cooperation is indispensable for security in Europe. With a view on Ukraine, we are currently facing new challenges. The inviolability of borders is an important value, and it is not negotiable.
It was a similar story in neighbouring France, where the country's capital ushered in 2022 with a light display on the iconic Eiffel Tower. The usual festivities were cancelled by the government to avoid large crowds. Despite the country registering record COVID-19 cases, French President Emmanuel Macron expressed hope as he gave the last New Year's address of his current term.
Les semaines à venir seront difficiles, nous le savons tous.
The coming weeks will be difficult, we all know it. The virus circulates and will circulate more and more. Measures have been taken by the government to face this situation, and I'm asking all of you to adhere to them. Sectors such as sports, culture, the restaurant industry, tourism or world of events will again suffer the economic consequences of this situation. We will help them as needed and as we've been doing since the beginning of this pandemic. There will also be many activities disrupted because of this new variant, so contagious. In this context, we will ensure continuity of the public services and of the life of the nation. Vaccination is our surest ace. It strongly reduces transmission. It divides by 10 the number of severe forms of the disease. This is why, again, I appeal to the 5 million people who aren't vaccinated to undertake this simple gesture, for you, your compatriots, for our country.
In Spain, crowds gathered in the capital of Madrid to say goodbye to 2021 and welcome in 2022. Colourful fireworks lit up the sky as usual festivities were held at the Puerta del Sol. Police tested new security instruments for the celebrations using drones with speakers to warn people of the special security measures.
Despite everything, and more than ever we must celebrate. We are okay, and alive, and so we enjoy. With security, points at mask. You must never stop being happy and celebrate. We are alive, we have health, we are here and we keep on going, so happy New Year. Here in Madrid we are not afraid to go out, to share. We all need to meet up, celebrate and party for our lives.
In Italy, despite the country experiencing a record number of new cases of COVID-19, a large crowd gathered in front of the Colosseum in Rome to see in the new year. However, people were prohibited from hosting New Year's Eve parties in their homes. Authorities in Rome restricted the use of fireworks, though unlike last year, there was no curfew in place. Elsewhere, Pope Francis did not preside over the New Year's Eve prayer service in St. Peter's Basilica, but he did attend the ceremony and told the congregation that the world had eventually acted responsibly when dealing with the pandemic.
A sense of being lost has grown in the world during the time of the pandemic. After the initial reaction phase in which we felt solidarity, being in the same boat, the every man for himself temptation spread. But thank God we reacted again with a sense of responsibility.
Boisterous
New Year's Eve celebrations kicked off in the Serbian capital of Belgrade, where, unlike elsewhere in Europe, mass gatherings were allowed despite fears of the fast-spreading Omicron variant. Large crowds gathered in the city for outdoor concerts, fireworks and a light show at the newly constructed Dubai-style glass tower that has become a trademark project by Serbia's right-wing populist government. Serbian officials have ignored warnings by medical experts who say the mass festivities should be scrapped as long as Omicron is racing through the continent. In the UK, Londoners cheered from the streets to mark the start of the new year with celebrations at the Shard. The Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, cancelled the annual fireworks display despite the government not placing restrictions in England. Prime Minister Boris Johnson urged those celebrating to be cautious and take a COVID test. Many revellers said that it was time to learn to live with the virus.
We want to see a fireworks, which was cancelled apparently, but we are still hoping that the fireworks will be here.
No, I'm worried about the COVID thing, but yet I want to experience the New Year and Christmas in London. So I keep in mind that I have to wear mask and make the safe distance, but yet to celebrate and have fun.
No, I think it's inevitable. It's around. There's nothing we can do about it. We just have to make sure that we're safe while we're out here. Be cautious and mindful of other people's boundaries, I guess, and what they find acceptable. But I do think it's been 2 years and it's time for us to kind of move on from what we've kind of been accustomed to for the last 2 years, where it's been really difficult for so many have suffered, and there's, I think, a point where we need to start coming together finally.
Stuck indoors about 2 years now, coming out. It's good to see everyone out, everyone socialising.
In Brazil, thousands of revellers congregated at the world-famous Copacabana beach in Rio de Janeiro to witness one of the biggest displays of the night. Previously cancelled, the governor of the city this week confirmed that the capital's fireworks would remain, but the annual concert would not take place. Despite the ongoing pandemic, most spectators appeared to be celebrating the occasion. And as the United States welcomed 2022, thousands took to the streets of New York to witness the world-famous ball drop and fireworks spectacular. Despite record COVID-19 cases, authorities in the city were adamant that the show must go on to prove that the city was fighting its way through the pandemic.
2022, good friends, good times, no more COVID. No more COVID, yes.
I love New York and I've always wanted to see this, so if something happens, at least I'm happy.
We were a little cautious on 2021. One thing I have seen is New Yorkers are tough, and even this latest round with this latest variant, the Omicron, you just see people taking a more tough approach to it. Like, yeah, I'm going to get vaccinated, but I'm not going to shut everything else down. I've got to keep moving forward. I got to make this work. And people I see the resilience and the toughness kind of coming out.
But it wasn't just a new year that the city witnessed, it was also a new administration. Shortly after the clock hit midnight, Eric Adams was sworn in as New York City's 110th mayor, the second black American to hold the position. Taking over from fellow Democrat Bill de Blasio, Adams vowed to keep the city open for business.
I, Eric Adams,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States.
The date may have changed, but the issues remain. With an unpredictable pandemic, climate change causing greater impact across the globe, and political uncertainty between the West and their old foes, 2022 is guaranteed not to be an average year. Dan Warren, Arise News.